SpectreVision Radio.
I give readings to a lot of people who are dealing with their church hurt and are concerned and worried, even though they're like, I feel like my ancestors are calling me, but I'm afraid of going to hell. And I'm like, well, baby, what if there is no hell? Hell is newer. Hell is new. Hell is not old. Hell is not indigenous. Hell is a newer idea that was conceptualized by people that weren't yours. Welcome at Cabo Aquaba. Bienvenidos. Wagwan. What's up, yo? Welcome to A Little Juju podcast. This is the Africana Ethereal podcast, diving deep into the medicinal, the magical, and the ancestral spiritual tools that can help get us free. And I am your host, Juju Bae, author of the Books of Juju, Oshun Priestess, Oreoluwa, Oshuno, and of course your favorite big cousin conjurer. Welcome back. So, yo, what a time we are in. We are deep into December. First of all, can you believe we're in December? This is actually wild. Like, I feel like it was just New Year's 2025. 2025 is almost over. It's almost 2026, according to the Gregorian calendar. We're in a time, but I have hope. We come from some of the most iconic people to ever exist on the planet, okay? So we got this. We're okay. I'm still tired. That will never change. But we are good, and I'm really excited to get into our episode today. I want to shout out the creator of Petty Butter, which is like this beautiful shea butter mix that's made in Chicago by Petty. And Petty actually gave me a little shea butter when I was at the Hoodoo Heritage Month Festival in November. But there was something that was said that was sparked from a conversation, actually from a talk that we had that Petty said that has just really been sticking with me. And I just want to share it. We were just talking about how we have been disconnected from the land and tools and how to maneuver tools, not like hammers, but maybe that too. But like actually, we come from people who knew the land, who could actually toil the land, who could grow things, who could fish, because they used tools to do that. And the more that we get sucked into the digital AI world, the less we're using our hands, the less crafts that we can do with our tools. And there was a mention of, I think it was the French Revolution. I'm not sure which revolution, but it was a revolution where like farmers were able to revolt because they had their hoes, they had they had tools to use in order to overthrow, in order to fight back. And there was this great point made about like, if we were to even do that, we don't even have no tools no more. We don't even have a hoe to whack somebody's head. We are being disconnected from our instruments. And for some reason, that has really stuck with me, that people were able, even during slave revolutions, insurrections, revolts, people had tools. What we gonna use our phone? we gonna tweet it. We gonna tweet somebody. It's like, wow, we really are so far from even. We're just so far. And I was like, dang, that's crazy. I'm not saying we got to do anything. I'm not suggesting or saying anything. I'm just recounting history and how people have addressed and revolted. So our first segment today is Ogun's Internet. I want to talk about Odinani or Odinanla. And this is traditional Igbo spirituality. So I know I'm an Orisha priest, which is a Yoruba traditional spiritual system, but other African people and ethnic groups have their own indigenous cultural systems. So I want to uplift Odinani today. And I would actually also love to talk to an Odinani practitioner as well. But I was on TikTok and I saw that it was a girl who I believe is in Nigeria, who was an Igbo girl. And she did a book report or a research project in school about Odinani. And she was sort of saying it within a Christian context. I can tell that she probably goes to a Christian school or is around a lot of Christian people and where she is in Nigeria, but that she was sort of, this book report was kind of pushing against what she maybe grew up with or was hearing about. And she shared it on TikTok, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to uplift this girl's work. So I will for sure add the TikTok that I'm referencing and her book report or her work in the show notes. But I wanted to talk about some of the things that she mentioned that she wrote about and as she studied Odinani. So basically, Odinani is a spiritual system, but it's more than a spiritual system. It is an indigenous cultural system. So just like people say Buddhism isn't a religion, it's a way of life. I think that we can also look at indigenous African traditions like that as well. It's not separate from day to day. Like we're living our life within the tenets of how we understand how the world works. Okay. So we're not thinking of this as something separate. We're thinking this as like a daily ritualized part of living. So the creator being, the God, and I put God in quotes because we are westernized people, when we think of God, we often think of like Big Daddy sandals in the sky. And I don't always want to attribute that to when we're talking about other practices, but I say God so that we can conceptualize what we mean, right? So the energy, the source of all creation is Chukwu. And Chukwu is the source, that is the life source. Now, Chukwu is a big deity, a big daddy God, like big God, right? So in a lot of African traditional systems, the big G God is not necessarily interacting with the lives of the living. You know, Chukwu is busy. You know, Chukwu has things to do. He's not trying to deal with, or I'll say they, because this is also a genderless. I'm so used to often saying God, he. I often say that, but it's a little bit more nuanced when we're talking about different spiritual systems, Africana spiritual systems. So God is busy, like Chukwu is busy. So Chukwu has the Alusi. And so the Alusi are the nature deities. They are very powerful beings and entities that exist that more interact with humankind. So there is Alusi of waters. There's an Alusi of warfare. There is Alusi of trickery. There is an Alusi of everything that naturally occurs. This sounds familiar, right? The things that naturally occur in the world, nature-based deities, that is the Alusi. And so the Igbo people will venerate the Alusi as a way to venerate God. Now, this is not necessarily a polytheistic practice. It can look like that. And when white missionaries came to Nigeria, where people practice, particularly southeastern and southern Nigeria, where people practice Odinani, they incorrectly were like, oh, these people are pagans. They have all these gods that they talk to, the god of this, the god of that, the god of that. No, there is a creator. That is who is being honored when we interact with the Alusi. It is on behalf of the creator. So there's not many gods. We are all aspects of Chukwu. We are all aspects of Big G God, right? So it's incorrect to just say that these are pagan people, worshiping other entities. It's all rooted in the creator. So the Alusi support us. They, get celebrated and honored because it is a goodness from God. I also wanted to uplift, I'm checking my notes here, Ekwensu. Ekwensu is the deity of war and often seen as a trickster and has been often demonized as a devil. So very similar to Eshu in Yoruba cosmology, who is often called a devil because Eshu sort of straddles the line between what is good and what is evil. And we have to sort of make amends with that as human beings and humankind. Eshu helps us understand that. In my brain, that's very similar to Ekwensu. So when missionaries saw that, they incorrectly said, oh, this is the demonic, this is evil, this is the devil. And so there is a lot of stories out there about Ekwensu being the devil, but that is not true. So the Alusi, as this girl on TikTok said, are aspects of the sun. So if Chukwu is the sun, the Alusi are sun rays. So it's all one and the same. It just helps us. We're able to understand who Chukwu is by interacting with nature. That's how we understand God, through nature, which is actually such a beautiful way to think about being in relationship to the world and others. Now, every person has something called chi within them, according to this tradition. And chi is sort of a reflection of Chukwu's essence within all of us. Chi lives within us. Chi, when you're in right relationship with your chi, you know the choices that you need to make. You're doing what you have to do. You're living a morally respectful life. You're in alignment with your chi. Very similar to Orisha tradition, we have our Ori. It sounds very, very close in how we are to understand them. And the chi is the holder of our destiny. That is sort of the chukwu within us that we all have access to. So essentially, there is a alusi of moral order, and that is the alusi of earth. So making sure that we're having good character, that we're making choices that do not mess up the balance of life. And essentially, this really ties into this concept of reincarnation. So reincarnation does exist within Odinala because we come to earth to live out our lives, to do what we got to do, to follow our chi, to live within our destiny. And then if we do that well, if we did what we have to do, we go on and we go to the ancestral realm where we get to be ancestors and watch our descendants and hang out and vibe. Now, if you did not live a morally sound life according to, your tradition, then you may just wander the earth forever. You may just be sort of a roaming spirit. And no spirit, in a lot of traditions that I study, and even ones I practice, no one wants to be a roaming spirit. You want to have purpose. You want to go to heaven, be with the ancestors, or you have another task to do. You don't just want to be roaming the earth. So sometimes with these roaming spirits, they will come back. They will come back as their descendants. They will come back as children in their family. So in Odinala, some children who are born will be named like, oh, this is an ancestor. Like this is Auntie so-and-so. And we see that a lot within Black culture too. Like, oh, that baby been here before. It all stems from these ideas, these indigenous African ideas that we come from. So the striving to be an ancestor is something that is common, I would say, across these Nigerian practices. And lastly, what I want to uplift that she talked about is that there is no heaven or hell. And I'm noticing that that heaven or hell seems to be a westernized, particularly Abrahamic concept that before missionaries, before colonialism, we actually weren't striving to go to heaven or being fear-mongered out of not going to hell. It was essentially, if there was problem in the society, and particularly in Igbo society, if someone did something wrong or that was completely against the moral code, that person would be dealt with by the powers of the spirits or those who are practitioners asking the ancestors, okay, how do we deal with this issue that has come up in society? And let's say that there was some kind of violence enacted on another person. Practitioners would also go where that violence was. They would clean the land, not because the land was cursed or that people would go to hell, but they had to restore balance within the earth. So even where the issue occurred, they would do a ritual to ensure that the land where that was is back restored to where it was. And I thought that was such a beautiful practice that she uplifted, because I'm like, wow, imagine if we still incorporated that kind of work, that when there is issue, this is not just conflict. This is like y'all was fighting or there was some violence or there was a murder or something. They would go to the place and address that area of the land because that land was actually a holder of something negative that happened. So in order to restore balance and to deal with the issue, the land had to be cleared. I thought that was so beautiful. I actually don't have this in my notes, but it made me think about the work that Erica Bridgeford does in Baltimore with Baltimore Peace Movement. And I did an interview with Erica Bridgeford in my older episodes, but I have been to a few places where Erica goes where anyone in Baltimore is murdered. She goes and cleanses the space. And I actually went with her one time when a friend of mine's partner was murdered in Baltimore. And that's the first time that I met Erica, because I saw she had posted that she was going there. And I went and we really did cleanse the area. We cleansed the space. We say prayers for the departed. We say prayers for the person who was murdered. We say prayers that, going to the heavens, that they're well, that they're not roaming the earth. So I think that as Black people, we truly have held on to some of the most crucial and important aspects in like the death work that has been given to us from our ancestors. And Odi Nala, even though I'm not a practitioner and I'm sure my explanation is very limited because I'm not a practitioner, I just wanted to uplift the commonalities that happen within, yes, different African traditions, but also even African American and diaspora and Black people. Like we really do come from some good, well thought out, intentional spiritual practices and ritual. Like it is good stuff. So for people out there specifically who I give readings to a lot of people who are dealing with their church hurt and are concerned and worried, even though they're like, I feel like my ancestors are calling me, but I'm afraid of going to hell. And I'm like, well, baby, what if there is no hell? Hell is newer. Hell is new. Hell is not old. Hell is not indigenous. Hell is a newer idea that was conceptualized by people that weren't yours. So maybe let's toy with that. Let's start there. What if you've been, I don't even think intentionally lied to, because I think a lot of our elders who did believe in hell, that's just what they were told. They're not trying to tell us no lies or that's their truth. That's what they know. But what if they weren't told the right thing? So what about that? So I always encourage people to just, if you're feeling lost in this current day and understanding yourself, your spirituality, just go back. See if that was always the case. Was it always the case that you would go to hell for doing something small? Or was there a ritual? Was there intention? Was there healing? Was there work that could be done to address the conflict, heal the land, heal the space, heal yourself, and move on? And the person who did the thing, they will be addressed, they will be punished, or that whatever needs to happen. But that there was a way to restore balance. I think that we forget that there are ways to restore. So let's think more restoratively. And I'm not even getting into like restorative justice. I'm just talking about spiritually, there are ways to restore. And there are ways to address. And it does not need to always just be hell and fire and brimstone. I don't want to live like that. I don't know about y'all. I don't got time to be worried about hell. Like, I just want to go to the ancestral realm. I do know that I don't want to reincarnate. I'm good on earth. She did her thing. I'll give earth her 10s always, but I'm good with humanity. I would like to go back home with my ancestors. I miss my grandma. Like that's where I want to be. Shout out to the Odinani practitioners. And if there are any Odinani practitioners who would like to add anything or like to say things, I would love for you to reach out to me. You can go to my website, send me an email, because I would love to know more about this really beautiful practice that I'm sure, I just hardly scratched the surface of what it was. But just sending light and love to all our practitioners out there doing the good restorative work. So our next segment today is Black business. And no, I'm not about to teach y'all how to make an LLC on Twitter. Today, I want to talk about what is happening in the diaspora, because as we know, what happens there happens here. What happens here happens there. So let's see what is going on or stories relevant to our cousins over yonder. So today we've been in Nigeria. We're going to stay in Nigeria for a moment. So by the time this episode comes out, this will be late tea, and it's not really to talk about the silliness around these tweets and things, but it is more to point to the bigger issue. Trump made a tweet that Christians are being persecuted and under attack in Nigeria, that they are being killed, that a bunch is happening. He said, if the Nigerian government continues to allow the killings of Christians, the USA will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria and may very well go into that now disgraced country, guns a-blazing, to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities. I am hereby instructing our Department of War to prepare for possible action. If we attack, it will be fast, vicious, and sweet, just like the terrorist thugs attacking our cherished Christians. Warning, the Nigerian government better move fast. It's actually so not funny. But the fact that the leader of our country tweeted that on Twitter, X. To follow up, Nicki Minaj reposts that and says, reading this made me feel a deep sense of gratitude. We live in a country where we can freely worship God. No group should ever be persecuted for practicing their religion. We don't have to share the same beliefs in order for us to respect each other. Numerous countries all around the world are being affected by this horror, and it's dangerous to pretend we don't notice. Thank you to the president and his team for taking this seriously. God bless every persecuted Christian. Let's remember to lift them up in prayer. How much was the check, Nikki? What you getting broke off, girly pop? You on a Trump payroll, girl? Cause why? So first and foremost, why is this all on Twitter? Secondly, it's so unserious. So of course I'm like, let me do some digging. What is happening in Nigeria? What is he referencing about the persecution of Christians? Are Christians being persecuted? Maybe, I don't know something. So I went to CNN, I went to Al Jazeera. This is what I found. So officials and experts in Nigeria deny Trump's claims of mass killings of Christians, noting that Boko Haram and Al-Qaeda linked groups target people of all faiths in Africa's most populous country. There are terrorist groups across Nigeria, and I don't remember the exact area because it's not everywhere in Nigeria. It is certain regions. I want to say northern region, but don't quote me. It will be in the show notes. I'll have the resources with like the facts, the official facts. But I want to say it's the northern region. There are terrorist groups that are killing people, but it is not because of their religious affiliation. Christians are not being targeted. Actually, in fact, more Muslim people have been killed in Nigeria than Christians, but Christian people have also been killed. These are just terrorist groups. These are groups causing terror on everyone. These are Islamic extremists. So they've actually been killing Muslim people because they live in the region of Nigeria where Islam is practiced primarily. So if you're going out and killing people, you're actually killing people that are within your region. So they're killing Muslim people. So this is not a religious specific issue. This is an issue for Nigeria, domestic terrorism. That's it. So to then flip the language around this and make it about Christian persecution, and I've noticed that the Christians be doing this. You're trying to be the main, you're already the main character as Christians. That is the most popular, or at least talked about religion. That is the one that impacts our laws the most. That is the one that we cannot escape Jesus Jerome Christ. We can't escape. And I don't want, again, we cool. This is not even about Jesus Jerome. This is about the people who continue to use Christianity as a way to literally colonize and disregard and violate humanity. Christians, some of the beginning of Christianity have continued to terrorize people all across the African continent, as well as in other parts of the Americas. This is why people have to go back to their ancient indigenous traditions. Why isn't it here anymore? Because of Abrahamic terrorism. It's not just Christians, but primarily Christian terrorism. So yes, there is a problem in Nigeria. There is domestic terrorism. It is not against Christian people. What lie? Like, why are we lying? And then for celebrities to back this incorrect message continues to put out this idea that there is an attack on Christianity. It could never be an attack on Christianity. It could never be an attack on Christianity. Why are we lying? As the leaders of countries. Mr. Trump's rhetoric suggesting a mass slaughter of Christians not only misinforms the international community, but also risks fueling extremist propaganda and undermining local efforts to build peace. And that is a quote from CNN from Bulama Bukarti, who is a Nigerian human rights advocate who specializes in security and development. So when this episode airs, I would be curious. This man be making threats, idle threats, just saying stuff. But I'm wondering, like, so what does this mean for our international community? And then to go even further, what this brought up for me is that our leadership, particularly in this country, love to cause chaos and confusion. Chaos and confusion, like domestically, allows for foreign powers to infiltrate while everybody's pointing the finger and like, who is doing that? That allows for other people to come in and get what they really want. Nigeria has resources. There is, and I've been seeing, I'm a comment reader. I read a lot of comments for posts and things like that. People who are in Nigeria like, yeah, no, this is about like gold deposits. This is about these natural land resources. Like, while we're all focusing on saying the U.S. is going to come and attack Nigeria, they don't care. They just don't care about no daggone Nigeria. They care about what Nigeria has. Or in the proximity of what is around Nigeria in that land. This is a resource game. We cannot get caught up in the lies and the chaos while everybody's looking all around and somebody done stole your purse. This is not true. Christians have been committing genocide for hundreds and thousands of years. I'm so disappointed in... We are witnessing the fall. I just want us to be clear. We're just witnessing a fall. Don't get caught up in the mess, y'all. So I'm sending my love to my siblings in Nigeria. That is one of my ancestral homelands, one of my primary ancestral homelands. So I am particularly very bothered by this. I love Nigeria, my family in Nigeria, but this is a lie. It's that simple. Do y'all research. Just do your research and don't feed in. Y'all, let's take a break to pay this light bill, child. So, A Little Juju podcast is a labor of love, but it is labor nonetheless. The time, the energy, the resources, the money that it takes to put on a show is not small. A visual podcast, might I add. That is why when you watch on YouTube, when you watch on Spotify, you are helping me on the journey to monetization. And of course, sharing it with your friends, telling people about the show that does so much for our numbers, the analytics, those things do matter. In addition to that, the coin matters, okay? The purse matters, the change purse matters. So for $7 a month, that is actually like a coffee with oat milk in New York. So for buy me a coffee a month, that can support A Little Juju podcast. It helps me. It just helps support the show, y'all. Patreon.com/Juju Bae is how, if you're like, oh my God, I learned so much from this show. You do so much, your research, I just love it. This is a way that you can engage in the energy of exchange for me. Because again, it's not free. Now, if you're like, oh, Juju, I want more. What are you doing? I want to have access to your classes. I want a reading of the month. I want to be able to email you. I want to be a part of your secret Discord group. Well, I got you. So for $10 a month and the other subsequent tiers, you can do all of that. I have so many offerings. I teach monthly playing card divination classes. My patrons get discounted readings, so they don't pay my regular price. There's perks, okay? So patreon.com/Juju Bae. You will be doing so much for me. And I thank you all so much for my patrons who support me, who have been giving to me. Some of y'all have been patrons for years. I appreciate you so much. I do not play about money, and I don't play, especially in this time. I know that you doing that is a commitment. So thank you to all of my old patrons. Thank you to my new patrons. I appreciate you. I love you, and may you have the resources to be able to create, to do, to experience all the things that you want to. I pray that you have the resources, the money, the community to help you live out your dreams like you are helping me live out mine. So thank you. I love y'all, and let's get back to the show. So for our final segment today, we will have our Dear Juju segment. This is where you all write in your letters about love, relationships, sex, spirituality, whatever it is that y'all want to know, and I will answer your questions. And I may just read it aloud on a Little Juju podcast. So write into me at dearjuju@yahoo.com. Yes, Yahoo, to potentially get your message read on the show. And remember, I want it to be juicy, like keep it spicy. You don't got, everybody asked me how to build an altar. I want to know what your nigga did. Like, I want to know the tea. Give me the tea so I can give you the tea back. So this episode's Dear Juju letter reads, Dear Juju, I've been married for 9 years to my partner, and it's been a monogamous relationship. We got married fairly young, so I didn't necessarily have a wild 20s moment. And I don't know. Lately, I've been kind of wanting a little more ... excitement. So I bring this up to my partner, and they are not having it. Like, won't even entertain the idea or doing anything with anyone else. Even together. I even brought up the idea of like a sex party just to like spice things up, but he shut that shit down too. I'm at the point now where I don't know what to do. I love my partner, but I also want to experience some new things I never got a chance to. Life is too short to not do what I want, period. I'm so torn. Any advice on what I should do? Signed, Married to the Streets. Now this is right. This is what I'm talking about. These are the kind of letters I'm talking about. Married to the Streets, I feel for you. I totally get that. I have also felt similarly, even though I'm not married. I think about marriage and what that means, and like, dang, one like the whole time, like that. So I get it. And you got married really young, so you said you don't feel like you got to explore yourself. You don't feel like you got to explore your sexuality or your attractions to people, and that's difficult because y'all really locked in. Y'all in a marriage. I recommend having a third party to help y'all work through this, because I can understand your partner side. Like, we're married, like we're locked in, it's me and you. And I also understand that things change, people change. You have a right to want to explore. I don't know if that means you necessarily have the right to explore because you got married, but you have the right to want that. And so maybe there's some wiggle room. There's some gray area that y'all haven't discussed or talked about. Now, I know that he don't want to do things together with other people, but I think maybe after talking about it or having a couples therapist or counselor help y'all work through it, maybe a sex therapist focusing specifically on that could help. Now, if he's like shutting it down, of course you need to decide, is that okay with you? Like, I do think that people are married all the time and swing and have rendezvous only when they go on vacation. Like, you can always create your own kind of marriage. You get to do that. But everybody in the party has to be accepting and open to that. But maybe there's just things you haven't talked about or you haven't thought of, or maybe things that he don't even know that he likes yet. So I think it might not just work coming from you. I think it has to be, again, a sex therapist, a counselor, or someone to help y'all work through, okay, I can't sleep with other people on the side. We're not going to be swingers, but maybe we can do this. Or maybe it's okay if I flirt with other people, but like nothing else. There's nuances to being in a relationship. But I just encourage both of you to just keep communicating. Don't stop communicating. You have every right to say what your desires and needs are. That doesn't mean that your partner will always meet them how you want, but don't hide yourself. You're married. So you do get to say, even if your partner don't want to, you should say, dang, I would love to have a threesome with you. Even if it don't happen, you don't need to hide yourself. You need to be open with what you like. So he can shut it down, but you don't need to shut it down all the way because that's what you want. So say that. But yeah, I think y'all need someone else to help get through, because I feel like there is something that you could be doing that's not ain't too much, ain't too crazy, but something that you feel like you could explore yourself. And then again, I'm not vying for y'all to separate. None of that. I love a good, strong relationship, but sometimes you do have to decide how important that is to you. If that's like for some people, their sexuality is huge. Some people don't care about sex. Some people, it's very important how they show up sexually, that they feel comfortable, that they feel like they can explore. That's how they express themselves. Are you okay with potentially silencing that part of yourself? You will have to decide that. And that is, you're going to have to decide, baby. But in the meantime, I would get some help. And I definitely think that this could be worked through. I feel like couples go through stuff like this all the time, as long as your partner is open and understanding and at least hears you out or doesn't make you feel like, doesn't judge you for desiring that. You know, that's a natural, it's okay. It's okay to desire. Desire is desire, you know, as long as you don't feel like your partner is like being rude to you or mean to you about it. I think that y'all can work through this. So thank you so much for that question. And again, if you would like your question potentially answered on the Little Juju podcast, email me at dearjuju@yahoo.com. All right, y'all. What a wonderful episode. Thank y'all for joining me yet again. If you want to follow me, of course, find me at ITSJUJBAE. It's Juju Bae on everything, child, from X to godforsaken X, child. I don't be on there like that, but you can find me there. Instagram, you can follow me at A Little Juju Podcast, spelled just how it sounds on Instagram. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your hating coworker. Put them on to A Little Juju Podcast. And if you would like to fly me out, if you want to be a part of your work, bring me to your organization, your school, go to my website, jujubae.com. I have a contact page. That is also where you can book your readings. And the rest of you, I'll see you on the Patreon. So I hope y'all have a beautiful week. And remember, all you need is a little juju. Bye.
All you need is a little juju. All you need is a little juju. All you need is a little juju. All you need is, all you need. All you need is a little juju. All you need is a little juju. All you need is a little juju. All you need is, all you need. A little juju is the way. It's how I start my day. Can't firm no slave. And I never do play. I'll take you for the trip to grave. But that ain't even my thing. I just stay at the crossroads, pray. I just pour a little honey from my bed to make them stay.